For the first time in decades, Myanmar is expected to bring into power the National League for Democracy, led by party leader and Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi. This is a major loss for the Union Solidarity and Development Party, which was created by the military junta and led by retired generals. Suu Kyi and her party were first voted into power in 1990, but were denied the win. The military has said it would accept the outcome of the vote, but analysts say it's unclear if Suu Kyi and the generals will be able to share power. The Egyptian military has released investigative journalist and human rights activist Hossam Bahgat. Bahgat was released yesterday, hours before demonstrations calling for his freedom were to take place in Cairo, London, and other cities. Bahgat was called in by the Egyptian military on Sunday and was being held for publishing news harmful to national security. It is unclear whether or not Bahgat can still be charged even after being released. In European news, the 21st Annual United Nations Climate Conference will take place from November 30th until December 11th in Le Bourget, France. Canada's new Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Catherine McKenna, will be attending the conference. McKenna will be returning from France today, where she met with her international counterparts to prepare for the meeting. There are over 190 countries expected to attend this conference. A recent uptick in violence in Hebron has seen 77 Palestinians and 10 Israelis killed since October. Drawn-out conflict has severe repercussions for the mental health of those who live in affected areas, particularly children. Doctors Without Borders mental health activities manager Natalia Garcia says the schools are having to carry out mental health first aid for children affected by trauma. Some families are keeping their children from attending school for fear that they could be injured or killed. Canada's military has announced that it is preparing to house over 12,000 Syrian refugees. This would mean that the military can house almost half of the 25,000 refugees expected by the end of the year. Chief of the Defense Staff, General John Vance, ordered a review weeks ago so that the military could be ready in case the government called for support. The refugees will be housed in cadet summer camps and military training facilities. The Liberal government will begin the process of consulting Canadians on how best to proceed with an inquiry into missing and murdered Aboriginal women. Canada's new Minister of Indigenous and Northern Affairs, Carolyn Bennett, said in an interview with the Canadian press that the process will involve speaking with the families of victims, provincial and territorial representatives, as well as grassroots organizations on how best to proceed with the inquiry. During the election, the Liberals promised $40 million over 2 years for the inquiry. The Native Women's Association of Canada says that the number of missing and murdered Aboriginal women is disproportionately high, with Aboriginal women making up 10% of all female homicide victims in Canada, despite being only 3% of the population. In local news, there's a new drug hitting the streets. Here's Johanna Tucker with a special report.
There's a new drug on the street, and if users aren't careful, it could kill them. Fentanyl is a prescription drug for cancer patients in severe pain and is 50 to 100 times more toxic than morphine. Police have asked Humber advertising students to bring a campaign to Ontario, explaining the dangers of the drug and its increasing illegal use among drug consumers.
We are teaching the students exactly how to send these messages. A lot of the students that are currently working on this project have already sent messages through the Alzheimer's Society, Daily Bread Food Bank. They have worked on the art of persuasion. In this case, don't take drugs with fentanyl in them.
The advertising students will be required to create a full campaign, including posters and a website about fentanyl and how to use drugs safely.
So our focus is to focus on harm reduction in general, so not only fentanyl, but harm reduction as a wider platform.
With drugs, they're going to happen no matter what, so our mission is to mitigate the harm that happens with drug use. And that's something that doesn't happen in Ontario. Typically, we're more conservative. BC did a Know Your Source campaign because they're more progressive, and they wanted people to to use drugs smartly, and we're trying to do the same thing for Ontario.
Check out our website to hear more about this story. Johanna Tucker, skedline.com. Back to you and us.
Thanks, Joanna. And now to Mehek Mazhar with sports.
In sports today, the World Anti-Doping Association has placed a ban on Russian athletes participating in the Rio 2016 Olympics. Some track and field athletes were found using performance-enhancing drugs during competitions. The Russian government and sports coaches allegedly covered up the scandal. Russia is set to discuss the allegations on Monday, which can lead to lifetime bans for athletes. Former Blue Jays player Jose Reyes was arrested for allegedly assaulting his wife in a hotel room in Hawaii. His wife, Catherine, told police that Reyes grabbed her throat and pushed her into a glass door. She reported having injuries on her thigh, neck, and wrist. Reyes is released on bail, but it's unclear if he's been charged yet. Blue Jays third baseman Josh Donaldson was named Major League Baseball Player of the Year in the annual Players' Choice Awards. He also won AL Outstanding Player during his first year with the Jays. Donaldson batted just shy of 300 and had a league-leading 123 RBIs. With some of the best stats in the league, there was little doubt that Donaldson would come out on top. Flint Firebirds coach John Gruden was rehired hours after all players quit the team in protest. News came out yesterday about the coach's firing. Many thought that at the center of the controversy was the playing time of defenseman Håkan Nilsson, who happens to be the son of owner Rolf Nilsson. Gruden was reinstated and, along with the rest of the coaching staff, now has a 3-year contract. The Hockey Hall of Fame inducted 5 new players yesterday. Chris Pronger, Nicholas Lidstrom, Phil Housley, Angela Ruggiero, and Sergei Fedorov were honored in what the commissioner called a special night for hockey. Ruggiero is the 4th woman to enter the Hockey Hall of Fame. The U.S. Soccer Federation is coming out with a policy banning players under 11 from heading the ball to reduce concussions. The policy is in response to a class action lawsuit from soccer parents, which will now be dismissed. Players aged 11 to 13 will also be restricted to a certain number of headers during weekly practices. The policy is in effect for those on U.S. Soccer's youth national teams immediately. In Monday Night Football, the Chicago Bears inched past the San Diego Chargers in a tight 4th quarter finish. Bears quarterback Jake Cutler also set the team's all-time touchdown record. The home team failed to produce after their number 1 wideout, Malcolm Floyd, got a shoulder injury. So far this season, the Bears have won 3 games and the Chargers have won 2. It's another game day for Toronto. The Raptors are set to play the Knicks upon their return home from a 4-game road trip. Toronto's team dropped 2 of the games against Orlando and Miami. The Knicks are second behind Toronto in the Atlantic Division standings. The puck is set to drop at 8:30 tonight when the Leafs face the Stars in Dallas. In their game against each other last week, the Leafs won 4-1. More than likely, James Reimer will be between the pipes in tonight's game. Leafs captain Dion Phaneuf recently caught the flu, so he may or may not play. That's all for sports. I'm Mehek Mazhar. Back to you, Anas.
Thanks, Mehek. In Toronto news, syringes were found taped to doors at Nathan Phillips Square for the 2nd time in the past couple months. A video released by Toronto police shows a man tying syringes to the City Hall's main doors and fleeing the scene. Police say the caps were still intact on the needles, and the syringes have since been removed by security. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported, and anyone with information is asked to contact 52 Division. The Toronto Transit Commission is looking into a fare hike next year in an attempt to make up $53 million in order to balance the books for 2016. Some of the suggested fare changes were increasing the single fare ride by 25 cents and increasing all other fare prices by 10 cents. Now, this includes day passes and senior rides. The board ruled on a price freeze on Metro passes and to begin subway service 1 hour earlier on Sundays, making the start time around 8 a.m. Last night, the Peel District School Board voted in favor of giving high schools the option to enforce school uniforms. The board says they have the support of 75% of parents. After introducing a pilot project in 2014, they say they have seen a positive change in attendance and a better sense of community in the school overall. Whether students will welcome this rule or not is yet to be seen. Humber Lakeshore students can enjoy a new exhibit at the L Space Gallery. Amrita Chopra has more.
Humber College's Lakeshore campus is home to the L Space Gallery. The gallery opened in September of 2012 and features artwork by students from many different academic programs. The gallery features everything from digital illustrations to lino cuts and traditional watercolors. Curator Ashley Watson says L Space gives students opportunity to showcase their work.
It's a space for students, so it's a space for them to show their work. It's a space for them to interact with industry professionals and outside organizations. The premise of the gallery is that we aim to kind of be inclusive of all students that go to Humber, right? So that it's not just for art or art on walls. We've had anything from nursing students in here to theater production to business.
As you walk into the gallery, you'll notice some familiar illustrations from your favorite children's books. These are a part of an exhibit called Canscape's Paging Imagination.
The premise behind this exhibition is that it really trying to show their process, so how they get from an initial idea to the very end product that you see in some of the books that we have featured here in the gallery. So everything from Franklin to Robert Munch books that have been illustrated. Students can really kind of interact with different pieces, and it's quite nostalgic kind of walking in here and looking around and kind of seeing where these pieces came from.
Activities for student will include presentations by artists as well as art supplies to bring out your own creative side. Canscape's Paging Imagination opens this evening at 6 p.m. and runs until November 20th. I'm Amrita Chopra, skedline.com.
Thanks, Amrita. And now we head over to Irvin Solitario with entertainment.
Thanks, Anas. The 2015 Scotiabank Giller Prize winner will be announced in downtown Toronto at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel at 9 p.m. tonight. Samuel Archibald and Heather O'Neill are the two authors competing for the prestigious Canadian prize. The winner will receive $100,000 in prize money. The annual gala will be hosted by comedian Rick Mercer. Speaking of prestigious awards, Sir Benedict Cumberbatch was given the Commander of the British Empire Award from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. The actor received the award earlier today at Buckingham Palace. The 39-year-old actor was given the honor for his services to performing arts and charity. The Sherlock star has been supporting Syrian refugees, along with donating over £150,000 for the Save the Children Foundation. Another celebrity is also receiving an award this week. Caitlyn Jenner has been named Out 100's Newsmaker of the Year. Jenner has been recognized at the ESPYs as well as starring in her own documentary after transitioning earlier this year. Jenner will receive her award tomorrow in New York City. Another story related to Caitlyn Jenner is Kanye West. Can you believe it? Kanye forgot the lyrics to his own song this weekend. Yeezus was at Kris Jenner's 60th birthday party and started to sing his hit song, See Me Now. While performing, Kanye forgot the lyrics to his 2010 hit and started singing 50 Cents in the club instead. I guess Kanye needs to take a break on fashion designing and focus more on singing. But here's a celebrity that hasn't forgot her lyrics. Celine Dion is going to be touring Montreal for the first time in 7 years. The Canadian singer announced yesterday that she will tour around Quebec, including Montreal, in the summer of 2016. The 47-year-old Canadian icon will hold 6 concerts between July the 31st and August the 21st. Tickets go on sale Friday, November the 13th. In other entertainment news, Steve Nash is teaming up with the CBC to produce a new basketball drama. The retired basketball star is working to create a 1-hour show set at an elite basketball academy in Toronto. Nash will be the producer, and the tentative title for the show is Hardwood. Nash and the CBC figured that with the rise of basketball in Canada, Hardwood will help continue to grow the popularity of the game. From a galaxy not so far away, longtime Star Wars fan Daniel Fleetwood got his final wish and was given a private screening of the latest installment of the series. Disney set up a screening of Star Wars The Force Awakens for Fleetwood and his wife in his hometown of Spring, Texas. Unfortunately, Fleetwood died in his sleep early this morning after losing his fight with cancer. A GoFundMe page has been set up to help Fleetwood's family pay for medical expenses. And that's your entertainment news now. I'm Irvin Solitario. Back to you, Anas.
Thanks, Irvin. A lockdown drill took place earlier today on Humber's Lakeshore campus. Let's head over to Andrew Escobar with reactions to the drill.
The Department of Public Safety held a mock lockdown procedure at Humber's Lakeshore campus for students to practice their safety routine. In 2007, the Legislation Assembly of Ontario passed Bill 212, amending the Safe Schools provisions of the Education Act that requires schools to have a minimum of 2 safety procedures for each school year. We asked students about the importance of these procedures and whether or not they feel prepared for a worst-case scenario.
I feel that they are important, but if someone knows, if they've been into our school system or have been in our country for a while, they know where we are already, so I think they need to change it out. My teacher was fully lost, so she didn't really know what to do. The students actually guided her, and we just ended up sitting there, but we were still talking, so I didn't think it really prepared anyone.
It prepares you, so in the end it's important because you know what you're supposed to do when something serious does happen on campus or even some other public places, so I feel that they're very important and there should be more practice drills, in my opinion.
I mean, not really, because most of the students are already here. They've been through a lockdown procedure in high school, so they know what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
In case you did miss today's lockdown exercise, you can visit humber.ca for more details. This is Andrew Escobar, skedline.com.
Thanks, Andrew. In other Humber news, the Lakeshore campus is scheduled to get a Starbucks by next August in the new Welcome Center. The news is receiving mixed reviews from students. Starbucks has also recently come under fire from some Christians because of their decision to keep their holiday cups a plain red. In previous years, the coffee chain's holiday cups have been decorated with Christmas bulbs, snowmen, and even reindeers. But their decision to take it all away has some Christians feeling like the company is declaring a war on Christmas. Starbucks says that the simple design was only meant to encourage customers to decorate the cups with their own stories. Let's find out if the rain is ever going to let up. Here's Brian with the weather.
Thanks, Anas. Make sure you have your umbrellas today because rain is in the forecast. Right now, light rain is coming down. Today we'll have a high of 10 degrees and a low of 8. It's chilly and windy, so make sure you have your jackets. The rain is expected to last till midnight, so it will affect those who are driving this afternoon and those who are going to the Raptors game tonight. Now let's take a look at the current conditions in the GTA. As you can see, rain has started to come down from Milton in the west to Scarborough in the east, with temperatures hovering from 7 to 9 degrees. Now, for your Remembrance Day forecast in the next 5 days, let's head back inside the dry and warm studio with Ryan Swain. Ryan?
Thanks, Brian. Keep dry. It's time to bundle up, folks. For those attending Remembrance Day ceremonies, we have a mixture of sun and clouds with a high of 11 and a low of 7. Thursday, we bust out the umbrellas once again with a high of 12 and a low of 8. On Friday, it clears up a bit with a mixture of sun and clouds and a chance of rain with a high of 8 and a low of 3. Saturday, it cools down quite a bit with a high of 6 and a low of 2. And on Sunday, it rises back up a bit with a high of 10 and a low of 4. That's your weekly forecast. Back to you, Anas Siddiq, in the studio.
Thanks, Ryan. Tomorrow, November 11th, is Remembrance Day. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we pause for 2 minutes of silence across Canada to reflect upon the sacrifices made by the brave Canadian men and women of our armed forces. Remembrance Day ceremonies will be held at Humber North and the Lakeshore campus at 10:55 a.m. Don't forget to wear a poppy. This is Anas Siddiq for skedline.com. Until next time.